This is the Radio City Indie Exchange, and joining me today is none other than Pranati Khanna, aka PK. Welcome, PK.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, I'm so glad we are doing this today. So for those of you who do not know, who've just tuned in, PK has just released her latest single, "You Don't Have to," and she very, sweetly likes to, and she's very politely putting it across that this is for all you insecure people out there who just can't get a hold of themselves in relationships and who think they're entitled. Am I right about that, PK? Would you like to tell us further?
Yeah, so I actually was making fun of myself in this entire song. And
Ouch! Why is that?
I was sitting down with a bunch of my girlfriends last year, and it was during the first lockdown, and we were all just having
Yeah.
conversations about how annoying it was every time we would sit down. It was just all of us hanging out, and our partners or somebody or the other would just keep on and on and on calling. So, like, one of my friends was trying to tell us a story, and every few minutes during the story, her phone would ring. And it was really
Oh,
annoying. And so all of us just started talking about how we can't seem to get away, like just have our own fun time because it's always, and all of this insecurity that is in all of our relationships with each other, our relationships with our better halves, like a lot of women who are jealous of each other, insecure around each other, a lot of, there's so much insecurity basically that's surrounding all of us constantly. So I wrote this song based on the fact that there's no point to it. Like, there's no point being insecure. It's okay to be insecure. You can definitely be insecure, allow yourself to be insecure, but like, take a step back and realize that there's literally no point to being insecure. So, yeah.
uh, so while you were writing the song, of course, there was a core thought, like you just explained it to us, that there was a core thought behind it. It's the idea of it stemmed from, a girl chat one afternoon. But
Hmm.
how you had to? I mean, How did the songwriting fall in place as far as the song is concerned?
So then I was just playing around with this software that I had on my iPad, and I was writing music one afternoon, and I just wrote this this beat, and I was sitting down and with my iPad, I was writing on my iPad, and I just started writing these lyrics. It just came to me, and I decided to just put a video on Instagram of this song because I gave myself a challenge last year that I'll write one original song a week, and I just put it on Instagram, and just to get people's how they react to the song. And I asked my partner Zafar, I said, look, I need to sing, I need to play this part, can you just do the beat on the iPad? So this whole video, if you go to my IGTV, you'll see this really funny hand coming from the side of just like pressing the buttons, and I'm singing the song. And the song, I put it on Instagram, and people loved it. It was shared so many times, and they all really liked the song, and I was like, all right, maybe there's something to it. So I decided to just go with the song. And then I sat down with Eddie, who produced the track for me, very close friend of mine. I made another track with him earlier called Don't Know. And
Yeah.
we just put the song together, and it turned out to be awesome. So, yeah.
So, I mean, of course, you mentioned Eddie, but for our viewers who do not know, whom PK is referring to as her favorite collaborator, Jonathan Edward, with whom she made two of my personal favorite lockdown releases last year, which was Don't Know and Make Better. I just want to ask you, PK, how is it always
Fun.
collaborating with Jonathan? Every time you guys make a track together, what is it? What is the difference in the energy that you both bring to a composition?
So, okay, Don't Know and this one, You Don't Have to, were with Jonathan Edward. Much Better and Good Old Fashioned in Love were with Jonathan Anand Wesley, who's in Bangalore. So there are these
Okay.
two Jonathans in my life who I love collaborating with and who are amazing producers. Uh, but when it comes to Eddie, Jonathan Edward, who is my friend in Hyderabad and was the guitarist in my band when I was playing in a band before this, he and I have a really very good working relationship where he understands the genre that I want to put out,
Yeah.
and there are very few people, especially in Hyderabad, who are doing R&B, who are doing pop right now. So he and I just vibe like that. And because he's had his own experience with me in the sense that he's seen me grow up literally. Okay, he's older than I am. He's like my big brother, so he's always watched me go through these different circumstances and different problems in my relationships. So when I'm writing about the song, he immediately knows how to help me tell the story. So it's been amazing working with him that way.
You're one of the few, definitive voices coming out of Hyderabad. And for the longest time, I don't know why I felt that Hyderabad as a city is not,
Yeah.
as big a breeding ground for independent voices and artists, the way we look at, say, a Delhi or a Mumbai or a Bangalore for that matter. Why do you think that, there's such a profound perception about Hyderabad as a independent space?
That's actually a very common misconception, you're right? And in fact, it's sad because there are so many musicians in Hyderabad. I think what happened, because Hyderabadis are generally really chilled out, we haven't
Yeah,
found that hustle in us up until recently to go for it. Like there's so many really talented singer-songwriters who'll be sitting down and just playing to their friends, but they haven't thought to perhaps push themselves to get to a producer, get out there. Recently, however, with a lot of the younger singer-songwriters and my age group as well, they have been watching what's happening in Bombay and in Delhi, and now they're feeling motivated to do it. I don't think there was a motivation before. Because a lot of the Hyderabadi musicians were playing in pub gigs, they were doing their covers. They a lot of bands, very popular bands, they do amazing. They make their money, they chill. But when it comes to independent music, I think nobody was seeing the point of why should I put my song? What's there? How far will it go? Until they started to see the point coming from Bombay, Bangalore, where all of the musicians were saying, look, you have to tell a story because we need more voices to speak up for us. Talk
yeah,
about issues, talk about what it's like to be you, because there are 10,000 more people who are like you, who can't understand how they are feeling, who can't understand what they're going through. So, so please be a voice for them. So slowly, all the artists started coming out with their music, whether it was love songs or whether it was songs about sadness, whatever it was, people started doing it. There are about three or four. I know there's much less compared to any other city, but it is slowly happening. And with Spotify India being out there, especially, it's been a huge help to know that there is some platform as big as Spotify that will back you up and put you on a playlist and help you get seen and noticed. And of course, shows like yours that interview us and talk to us about it and then help push us further. But for Hyderabadis to know that all of these tools exist, that is something that we have to slowly start educating them about. Look, these are your tools,
right.
make use of them. Yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned about how Hyderabad, people who live in Hyderabad and who actually want to take this route, but aren't really aware about the resources, at their disposal. Do you think it's also largely because the mainstream culture in Hyderabad is, so overwhelmingly, prevalent in the city? Like
Sorry, can you say that
like
last part again?
so where I was trying to get at is, it's interesting you mentioned that, you spoke about that, people, musicians in Hyderabad need to be more aware about the resources at their disposal. But do you think that lack of awareness is also largely because the mainstream music culture in Hyderabad, especially the Telugu
Mm.
blockbusters, the film culture, is of such immense influence in the city?
I do absolutely agree with you on that. There's a huge regional music boom in Hyderabad. Tollywood is, of course, it's huge. So our
Yeah,
mass audience, the majority of the audience, they love their Tollywood, they love their Telugu music, they love their Bollywood also.
yeah,
So it's more niche. You're absolutely right when you say that. Also, there is a much larger audience for techno, and it's easier to be a DJ or a producer
yeah.
in Hyderabad than it is to be an indie musician. So that's also a
Right.
thing.
It's interesting you said that because I remember when we did, the multi-city gigs in one, and Hyderabad was one of the venues for, in our roundup to Radio City Freedom Awards about, the last edition. And we
Hmm.
possibly, for the first time we came to Hyderabad, we had to choose, uh, we had to choose the Moonshine Project and we had to choose, a DJ Because I
Yeah.
mean, we were told that unfortunately the scene is really not as prolific and profound in Hyderabad. So I'm glad that we addressed that today, through the course of this interview. Uh, you wanted to actually pursue design, and music happened to it just happened to come out, as a byproduct of out of that aspiration. Would you like to tell us more about that?
So I did end up pursuing design. I did study 3D animation. I wanted to
Yeah,
study design specifically in New York City. I wanted to go to
yeah,
Parsons. So I
Parsons,
was,
yeah.
yeah, I was 16 or 17 years old, and I was applying for all these, courses abroad. And I was finishing my course in animation. And I got accepted to quite a few of these schools, but the tuition was like humongous, like it was going into literally
Yeah.
crores. And I, for some reason, thought if I play pub gigs, I'm going to be able to save up enough money to pay this tuition. I'm 17 years old, no brains. So I kept on playing these pub
We all
gigs.
make mistakes. We all
Yeah,
make
it's
mistakes, don't we?
we do. So I was like, okay, come, I'll play all these pub gigs and then I'll make my money and I can pay for my college. And that obviously didn't happen. And I ended up just becoming very popular as a musician in Hyderabad. And I was writing a lot of music. And slowly, very organically, that whole the band started. I was playing at all these venues. I was playing so many shows. And then I side by side taught myself design. I got my first job when I was 19 at a very nice studio, and I learned a lot on the job. And by the time I was 2021, I was freelancing, and then I worked at another very big company, and now I started my own design firm. So the design and the music journey side by side has been actually really cool. So yeah.
PK, we have seen that the lockdown, in a way, really proved to be an immense propeller to fame for a lot of independent artists. In the last two waves of the pandemic. Uh, of course, the last time when I happened to speak to a musician, he said that it's also largely because there was not much film happening, so there was no scope for film music, and that really created the space for a lot of independent artists, so to be heard more frequently. The discoverability was huge. Don't you
Yeah.
agree on that?
Absolutely, that's a great way to put it. In fact, I never thought of it that way. But yeah, lockdown was great because everyone was sitting down, they were writing, and everyone was sitting down and they were listening, and not lot less movie music as well. I think Netflix still had like its own thing going, but yeah, there was a lot of focus on the scene during this lockdown, and a lot of beautiful music came out of it for sure. Yeah.
You won an award at the Asia Inc. 500. You've been a TEDx speaker. You are one of the you're an active enthusiast for LGBT rights, which is and you've been actively propagating awareness around mental health, and you've constantly engaged with your fan base, and spoken about issues pertaining to them. So how do you look at these additional responsibilities of being an artist, where you feel that, okay, sometimes artists feel that fame compels them to
Mhm.
hold more clout, hold more influence upon the lives of their listeners. But how do you look at that compulsion? Sometimes do you feel that sometimes pursuing something, pursuing other interests can sometimes uh, threaten to dampen an artist's creativity, because sometimes an artist should use their personal space also to work upon their craft?
For sure. Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right in that sense that a lot of artists feel that pressure that if I do this, try something new now and I suck at it, then I'm disappointing everybody and everyone's going to think I'm a loser. And they have to maintain that, image. And I've got to constantly be a role model for all these people that, are looking to me for advice or even just looking up to me. And I think I'm still like in a very humble phase of this journey, but I definitely can confidently say there are a lot of people who turn to me for advice because I've been so open about my story in
Yeah.
terms of my personal life. And so there are a lot of people who write to me asking me for advice, asking me about mental health tools. What can you recommend a therapist, or what do I do? I'm feeling like this. And with my design firm, which is called the whole shebang, We
Yeah.
literally counsel every person that is in our at our firm, that works with us at our firm. Every team member is they're not allowed to work past a certain time, only 5 days a week. We try our best and like make everybody feel a little more sane. So a lot of stress lies upon people that are, a little bit more in the public eye to behave themselves. But
Right.
I think what you can do is take your downtime when the camera's off, and you can just do what you want to do and just kick up your heels and misbehave and be stupid if you want to. But yeah, it's a little bit of stress because every time you go out in public, you've got to watch what you say. You've got to watch the way you behave. Otherwise, it's easy as difficult as it was for you to come up there in 2 seconds. Somebody can absolutely just destroy your
Put you down.
entire. Yeah. So it's a little, yeah. I mean, I'm still not there, but I'm getting there slowly, and I can feel the pressure a little bit because I have to keep watching what I'm putting on my Instagram only. So I'm like, yeah.
It's very interesting, PK, that you just mentioned about, how you encourage your team members to, take time for themselves. There's a huge sense of empathy, and now I think we are living uh, in such an environment where the work culture has led everybody to a collective burnout.
Oh,
Everyone is bogged down by emails, the follow-ups. There's absolutely no bifurcation between work life and private life.
truly.
And I think you're not just a singer songwriter and a musician. You're also an entrepreneur yourself. So how do you think can others try and maybe learn from your example? How do you think that what are the basic pointers that you would want to put out, and maybe that people should just give a shot at their workplaces?
I think what you can start by doing is just asking everyone how they're doing. Like if you're a boss, if you're the leader of a team, just go up to your team members and ask, how are you doing today? What's happening? I think it's a very Indian thing. I wouldn't even say Hyderabadi thing where you'll ask, like what's happening, what's up. You'll have your chai and you'll sit and you'll chill and take that time to talk to somebody. I think it should be a very like a compulsion as a team leader or even as a member of your family. Just ask everyone how they're doing. I know that sometimes you're not surrounded by the nicest people, and I think it's the hardest thing for somebody to go up to someone they really don't like and say, "How you doing, man?" But I think
Yeah.
that it's really like it's very cathartic to actually go and do that. If you can do that, go up to anybody, just anybody, and ask, "How are you doing? Can I help you? What's happening? Oh, let me give you some advice." I think that it's a little step you can take in the right direction.
Well, all I can say, PK, is, I mean, your music is always such a rage for, listeners in general. But I
Yeah.
think having interviewed you through the course of this interview, I've also discovered that um, you're a very deeply empathic person. You are a lot of heart. And all I
Thank
can say is I wish you all the very best for all the future endeavors, both, in design and in music. And I hope when if I am down in Hyderabad, or if maybe if you're ever down in Mumbai, then maybe we can definitely meet in person.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. I'd love to do that.